Hey, it's tax season. You have a little less than 2 months to get your returns in. To help you navigate the process, we have two experts, Kevin Robinson from Robinson Tax Service and Ryan Dodson from Liberty Tax Service. They're taking your questions until 5:45. Here's how you get your question to our experts. You text them 336-379-5775. Remember, this is a text only, so please don't call. All right, first and foremost, Ryan, let's go to the whole list, right? We got key dates and we got some key deadlines.
All right, so the big deadline this year is actually Monday, April the 18th, and that is because of Emancipation Day, which is celebrated in Washington, D.C., and that is falling this year on April the 15th. So because Washington, D.C. is closed, they are moving the deadline, giving everybody an extra 3 days all the way up to April the 18th. That is for both your federal and your North Carolina tax returns. If by chance you happen to have a corporate, S corporation return or a partnership return or something like that, that due date is this upcoming March the 15th.
All right, and if you file an extension and it's approved, you have until
October the 15th. Extensions are for 6 months.
Okay, got it. All right, let's talk about North Carolina Department of Revenue, because lots of people have been saying, I filed my taxes, but North Carolina is not doing anything with them. All right, Kevin.
Yes, that's the question of the hour, Tanya, is when is North Carolina going to turn the switch on and start processing returns? And basically, I think that Ryan and I and all of us understand it, it's the end of February, which is technically Monday. So hopefully next week the switch will be turned on. And I can't even imagine, to be honest with you, the backlog returns that had been e-filed that are sitting in their server ready to be released. And I understand too that once the switch is turned on, they are projecting sometime in April getting some of the refunds out. But again, that's a projection only, and that's a target date only, the end of February.
All right, so again, they're not going to even start processing returns until the target of next week. And you said the earliest that they could do refunds would be April then.
That's my understanding from online, yes.
All right, and we don't have to do anything. For those of us who filed our taxes with whatever kind of software, it's just sitting there with North Carolina. It's just going to eventually make it there.
Yes.
Okay, it's going to eventually make it there. All right, let's talk about this. Let's talk about IRS delays. And Ryan, this is something that we've all kind of been dealing with for the last couple of years.
Yeah, so the IRS, by all means, the IRS is delayed. When it comes to refunds, there are certain types of refunds that the IRS was legally required to hold. So it doesn't really matter if you filed your tax return way back in January. They were legally required. They couldn't even process those refunds until February the 15th, which was just last week. And because they have a huge backlog of them, it takes them a while to get through a lot of those refunds. And a lot of our clients and a lot of clients that we've seen so far have not received their refunds, although we are expecting them fairly shortly.
All right, yeah, I know I filed my taxes. I got it within 2 weeks. So I was one of the few maybe that got it lickety split. Who knows? Okay, sometimes you just get lucky. All right, Kevin, let's talk about charitable donations, because this year there is something new where you can write off a charitable donation even if you don't itemize.
Yes, Tanya. In fact, that's a great thing and a great topic to talk about. And basically, if you and I do not have enough to itemize, typically, which is more and more people, but they give to charity, then basically, if they're a single person, they can write off $300. If they're filing jointly as a married couple and they give $600 or more, they can write off $600. I think the thing to keep in mind is that those charitable donation deductions come on line 12B of Form 1040. And they add to the standard deduction to basically increase it by the $300 or $600 amount.
All right, so you mentioned 12B. So let's clarify, Ryan, is this something, if I'm doing tax software at home, is it just going to show up or what?
Yes, Tanya. If you're just doing tax software or you come into a tax professional, we're just going to enter it in. The software automatically knows where to throw that deduction onto what line that it does. And that's the great thing about tax software.
It is the great thing, isn't it? Okay. It helps those of us who don't know what we're doing do the taxes. Okay. All right, let's talk about advanced child tax credit, because so many folks got payments last year. They got half of the amount of the advanced child tax credit, and then they're going to have to get the rest of the credit when they file taxes. So, Kevin, they need to be looking for a letter, or they need to go online and make sure they figure out how much they actually got.
Well, absolutely, Tanya. The letter is from the IRS's letter 6419, but they need to reconcile their records with that letter, to be honest with you. That record could be wrong, and I think I've heard Ryan speak about it before. So, basically checking their bank account, but the letter, again, they should check it, and then there's a portal online, but typically they need to check their records against the letter to make sure that they enter what they received into their return for their software to actually calculate the remaining child credit.
All right, Ryan, I'm just curious, the people coming in the office, are any of them surprised that they are not getting as big of a refund because they collected half of the child tax credit already?
Yes, we do. I mean, anytime tax laws change, there's always going to be, unfortunately, winners and losers. And we've had some clients that do come in and they are surprised because their refund is less this year than what it was last year. But like you said, I mean, they already received half of their child tax credit already just in 6 installments during the year. Now, we do have some clients that on the opposite side, they're surprised because their refund is more. And this has to do with some technicalities about how Congress changed how the child tax credit is paid out. Basically, they increased it for some folks. It used to be a maximum of $1,400 for a certain segment of folks. They increased that all the way to the maximum of $3,000 or $3,600, depending upon the child.
Yeah, it's always nice when you're surprised in the good sense, right? For sure.
Absolutely.
Nice when it goes up.
Right, absolutely. Okay, we're going to take your text questions coming up, 336-379-5775. We'll be right back.